Getting shit done could mean a career focus, entrepreneurship. It could mean being an amazing professional athlete. Or it could mean dealing with the things that God puts in front of you.
They said once they saw me in person, they told me I had less than 50% chance of living another 2 months. I got a phone call from the doctor and she said, Heather, I don't think you're going to last another 3 months. You need to come to the ER tomorrow morning. And I laughed. I laughed at her.
Asking for help is not a sign of weakness. It's actually a sign of strength. Because the hardest part of the whole thing is to ask for the help. You have to be strong to do that.
After the transplant, dealing with the physical recovery, if I had a hard day mentally, I was in so much more pain. I was more tired. And that's when I really realized how much these things are interconnected. My whole liver came out and I got 55% of his. And within 2 to 3 months, I believe it was, my lip portion I got and his liver grew back to full size.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
There's one thing that all champions have in common. They get shit done. So welcome to the Get Shit Done experience. Well, we are back at it again. Yes, this is the Get Shit Done experience, also known as the GSDX podcast. And you can find us at www.gsdxpodcast.com, or wherever you're listening to us right now is a good spot as well. But if you want to play along and check out some other episodes, see what we're up to, maybe inquire about sponsorship or being a guest, you can go on the website, right? And that's a good spot. And then you can find us there, or you could like and comment, and I'll probably comment back. Be nice. If you're not nice, I do bite back, okay? I just want to make you aware of that. Probably not great for branding, but I will bite back unless you're nice. You don't have to be super nice. You could speak the truth and be authentic, but don't be mean. Right, Heather? Exactly. That's Heather Krueger. And you are about to hear a story that is super inspirational. So those of you that are dealing with some sort of mental or physical health, this is going to be one that you're going to want to tune into, especially if you're at the beginning stages of the process, especially if you are going through the trials and tribulations, if you're concerned, if you're wavering, if you're not knowing how you're going to face adversity head on. This is a human being that is going to absolutely light up the microphone the same way she lights up the camera, and she's going to give you the goods. We're talking about an unbelievable story, perseverance, grit, determination, passion, energy, and a lot of other things that we'll get into, but you're going to hear it all today. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the one and only Heather Krueger.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Thanks for coming. You drove a long way, and I played a little joke when she walked in. I said, I'm sorry, who are you again? And you should have seen the look at her. No. You should have seen the look at her face. It was actually pretty funny. It was pretty funny. Okay, so let's go back in the Wayback Machine. As you know, when we do these episodes of the Get Shit Done experience, we want to kind of patch together the clues of success, right? People have all different ways of getting shit done, but there are a lot of commonalities, as we've talked about. And getting shit done could mean in a career focus, entrepreneurship. It could mean being an amazing professional athlete, or it could mean dealing with the things that God puts in front of you. It could mean dealing with trials and tribulations and getting to a point where you could then advance your career and set a tone for the future, which we will tuck into the back end of this podcast because the future is bright, baby. Okay? The future's bright. We got a shining star here. But let's go back to the Wayback Machine of how this all started. You are training to be a nurse. What year is that?
I was in my first year, actually, of nursing school.
Like what year, though? Like how far back are we talking?
This was, I want to say 2013.
2013. Okay.
Right,
so you're in your first year to be a nurse. Was this always the dream? Was this something that you had looked forward to your whole life? Did you fall into it? Were you really good at putting Band-Aids on people? Like, how did you decide you want to be a nurse?
So it wasn't like this lifelong dream, but I always enjoyed taking care of people.
Okay.
I was fortunate to have both sets of grandparents live within 10 minutes of me. So I was extremely close with them. So I knew I wanted to do something in the healthcare field, decided on nursing. And then because of my personality and needing a little bit of chaos and drama, I decided I wanted to do ER.
Okay.
But I didn't get that far, but...
Care to elaborate on the personality that would cause one to want to be in an ER?
I think just the excitement of the unknown.
Okay.
And every day is a new ordeal and keeping me on my toes. I feel I get bored easily, so I needed that.
I understand that.
Yeah.
There's always savings, but it's about way more than savings alone. Total Technology Solutions Group redefines managed print services. Excellence is the minimum standard. TTSG is a true managed print service provider, deeply understanding your technology and business goals. Your business is unique. Our solutions are tailored to your current and future business goals. Our customer-first approach empowers and delights. TTSG can ensure your technology environment will scale as your business does. So as you navigate business and constant change, partner with TTSG for premium advisement and seamless implementation of your technology goals. We set the bar high. Your people deserve it. Peace of mind. Powerful innovation. TTSG.com. Yeah, I have a bit of a similar situation in that, like, if I'm kind of like a shark. If I'm not swimming, I'll die. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of like I have to be busy. What do they say? Like, what's the term? Idle hands are the devil's work, right?
Yes.
Right. So you kind of need to be moving, and I need the stimulation. It gives you purpose, keeps you moving.
Yes.
So you're in it now. You're in the first year. You're moving and shaking, and how's the rest of life going?
Overall, it was pretty well. I was living on campus at that point, but I started having some symptoms, some health-related symptoms. But, life was going good. I was excited. Like I said, I wanted to do ER or ICU, one of them, to keep me on my toes. Meeting new people at school, excited.
Yeah. So like life is just getting going, and you're in that really cool age where you're freshman in college or whatever.
Right.
So you were starting to feel some ailments, but maybe weren't sure if that was just a hangover or not, right?
Exactly.
You're at that age, right?
Right.
Am I sick or am I still drunk?
Right.
I can't tell. Okay, so you're starting. What were the symptoms? What were the ailments, or what were you feeling?
Stomach-related things, pain, feeling like I was having food sensitivities, wasn't having in the past. So minor, nothing like super alarming, but noticeable.
Yeah.
And some fatigue. But again, it's like, okay, I'm away at school and I'm up late and I'm skipping class. Is it just circumstantial or is something else going on?
Okay, so you're... When do you get to the point where you go, okay, it's not that I just can't eat that food anymore. Like, I need to go see somebody. Like, what was the tipping point where you went, okay, this is a concern now?
So probably over that year, I actually decided to come home because it was affecting me so much. Yeah. And at this point, okay, I wasn't drinking. I knew I was eliminating things. I knew it wasn't that. And I started going to my primary care gastroenterologist because I was extremely tired. Like the fatigue was nothing I ever experienced before. No matter how much I slept, how good of rest, never feeling refreshed. And for me to not want to go out to a party or get ready was not like me at all.
Okay. So a bit of a party girl is what you're saying. Okay. And now, so now you're pissed off because you can't go to the parties anymore, and you're feeling fatigued.
Right, like the thought of
and it's wearing you
getting
out.
Ready.
Really, it was that bad.
Yeah,
just getting out of bed was becoming exhausting.
Yes.
Okay, so what are your parents thinking at this point? Because you're still young enough where you're in their care, right?
Right. Yeah. They were a little concerned, but again, there wasn't like these extreme. Besides the fatigue and a little bit of pain on like the right upper quadrant of my stomach. Nothing else really. So I came home. They were a little concerned. I came home. I was working part-time then as a nursing assistant at a nursing home just to try to do something. And I couldn't keep up with the rigorous schedule of a nursing program.
Okay. When you're struggling to keep up with the patients, that's a problem.
Yeah. Well, and I wasn't even at that point yet. It was more just the classes.
Oh, the classes. Okay, got it.
Yeah, I'm being able to keep a certain grade and them only allowing you to miss like one class.
Yeah.
When I'm going to doctor's appointment, it just wasn't working. So I started at a community college for medical assisting.
Okay.
Still in, the medical world, but not nursing. And went to primary care, got blood work, ultrasound, CAT scan, and they said everything looked fine. And I'm like,
that's so interesting. Okay, so you're like you're learning about all of these things. I mean, like you're in it, right? You're learning about symptoms and disease and cures and medicine and all these things, right? So, and then you're feeling all these things. You go to a doctor. Isn't that the worst feeling for anyone listening? You know you don't feel right, and you go to the doctor and you're like, everything feels wrong, and they're like, well.
Labs look great.
Yeah, you look fine. You seem fine. You're like, but I'm not fine.
Yes.
And what do I tell my employer? You know what I mean?
Right.
Because I can't work right now, but you're saying I'm fine, and I know I'm not fine.
Right.
And that just goes to show you that that's why they call it practicing medicine.
Right.
Because it's not a perfect science. They're striving for that, but it's a practice. Okay, so what does that do to you internally, like mentally? When you go home and you're like, because I would imagine when you went to the doctor, you're like, today's the day. They're going to tell me what it is. They're going to match the medicine. I start feeling better. I get back to life. Instead, it's like, oh no, I still don't know what's wrong.
Yeah, mentally that was tough because obviously when you go for blood work or tests, you want everything to come out fine. It's not like you're anticipating bad news, but you know your own body and you know how much your lifestyle has changed, how much things have shifted, and your vision of where your life is going is not on track at all.
Yeah.
And you get everything looks fine. Labs are great. Okay, come back in so many months. And it's a depressant in a way because you know something's not right and you put your trust in them, in the doctors.
Yeah.
And then it's like, damn it. Like it's a, I'm not going to swear, it's a mind F, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you know something's not right. And
it's deflating.
It's trial
anyway.
and error.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so like timeline wise now, you leave school. How long are you dealing with this where you're feeling it and then you go to the doctor and they're like, everything's fine? Is this like a few months, a year?
This was probably a year.
A year of that.
And I was always like, just because I didn't know any better, I was always very traditional Western medicine and the thought of something holistic or Chinese medicine.
Yeah.
To me at the time, and I was young, like it was just woo-woo. Like, what is a natural doctor going to do for me?
Yeah.
But I got so desperate in that search of trying to figure out what was wrong with me, I went to a functional medicine chiropractor doctor.
Okay.
And he was the one who ended up tipping
No
off.
kidding.
Yeah.
How would a chiropractor figure that out?
I know. I did think that at the time. So he did more in-depth testing. Not to get gross, but he did like stool tests.
Sure.
Further.
That would be a good thing to test, an indicator.
Right. So it showed food sensitivities. It showed I had leaky gut. It showed I had a worm in my intestines.
Really?
And then it also showed him, based off of some numbers that traditional labs just don't really test, I was 23, 4 at the time. I was at high risk for stroke and heart attack based off my triglycerides. They were in like the 400s. Another number indicator of inflammation. He said in his 25 years, he never saw a number that high. And something was going on with my blood. And he's like, I'm not sure what it was. Well, what it ended up being was I wasn't clotting. My blood wasn't clotting.
Oh, no.
And that's a big sign of...
That's a big sign of...
liver disease.
Oh,
can be
yeah.
one of the things.
Also super dangerous. I mean, cut your finger. Like...
Yes.
Okay, so this is unbelievable. Like a chiropractor of all things. You go to these unbelievable doctors that have all the equipment, all the science, and they miss it. And I'm sure, if you pulled them in a room, they feel terrible about that, right? Certainly no intention to that.
Right.
Go to a chiropractor, and the chiropractor does all these different types of tests and finds it. So then, obviously, a chiropractor can't treat it. So, like, does a chiropractor communicate with the hospital through, like, do they even look at the Eastern medicine side of things and give it merit?
So he put me on, he looked at nutrition and supplements, where even to this day, a liver specialist is going to tell you not to be on any supplements, to be careful. So basically, if I would have done things differently, now I would have had them in communication. Back then, I didn't know
Yeah.
I asked from a hole in the wall. So
Yeah.
I didn't have them communicating.
I mean, I know how you feel. And it's not back then, it's right now.
So I told the doctors what he suspected. And also, to your point, as far as not being able to stop bleeding, I ended up in the ER because I had a little scratch on my face and it wouldn't stop bleeding for 6 hours.
Okay.
So the ER doctor's like, do you have any liver issues?
Well,
And that's
how it connected.
set it off more.
Did you
Yeah.
purposely cut your face? I'm going to show them.
No.
Watch this. Okay, so finally the doctors recognize because of that. And so like all these kind of breadcrumbs now are starting to add up. Mm-hmm. So you go into the ER, doctors go, okay, this is an issue. Mm-hmm. And what do they tell you at that point?
So they tell me, oh, by the way, you've had CAT scans and ultrasounds, but the type of imaging doesn't really show if there's any damage to organs. It showed that your gallbladder was a little sluggish. There might be a little backup as far as digestion, but it doesn't really show if there's any damage. So
Interesting.
right.
So it shows the function, like what's functioning
Right.
and how it's functioning, but doesn't show.
Like the level of damage. If there is any.
Interesting. Okay.
Like what?
Is there no science for that yet? Or just
Now?
at that point?
At that point. So this
Okay.
was 11 years ago. I believe they have a couple different scans now.
Yeah.
That,
So you were kind of a product of the time
yes.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. Of course. Well, it wouldn't be a great story if everything worked out. We wouldn't even be here right now. So
I'd be bored.
yeah, exactly. It's like, go to the chiropractor, Heather. You'll be fine. Okay, so now what do they do? How do they figure it out now?
They said, based off your numbers, we're going to do a liver biopsy. But since you're not clotting, and typically we would take a needle, stick it in your side, your liver, take out a sample and test it, you would have internal bleeding. So we have to go through the jugular vein in your neck with a catheter down that way and pull a sample out.
Oh,
yeah.
You're just filled with good news. Wow. Okay, so through the jugular, not something I often hear on the podcast.
Got to be the first.
I had a guest threaten to karate chop me in the jugular, but so they run a tube down through your neck to your liver, and a biopsy essentially means that they take a piece, right?
Correct.
And then they bring the piece back out, and then they test it. Yeah. And what does the test say?
That it was stage 4 non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, cirrhosis. 2 weeks before my 25th birthday.
How does that even happen? Like, what
Right.
what would have, could the worm have had anything to do with that? Like, is there something that was in your diet for years? Is it chemicals? Like, how does that even happen?
So that's the question. I kind of went on a deep dive these last, I want to say 3 years. I sort of took their word that they didn't know why. I went to Mayo Clinic also and got the same diagnosis.
They're pretty good.
Yeah.
I'd say.
Decent, yeah.
I'd say they're decent. Yeah.
And University of Illinois in Chicago and Mayo both said it was autoimmune hepatitis.
Oh.
And they said something triggered your body to attack your liver. But with the research that I've done and kind of diving into the natural side of it is our body is always trying to heal itself. It's always trying to.
We're always in attack, aren't we?
Right.
Isn't that what your white blood cells are essentially doing? Is they're attacking things within your body
Might be a threat.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, well, if it's not from alcohol, you did rare genetic testing. You ruled out all the different hepatitises. And to tell me that I need a transplant and this might happen again because we don't know what caused it. I feel, to your point, as far as the stomach issues, what I've learned is there's so much more to gut health and inflammation and chronic inflammation that maybe my body was just more susceptible. That was a weaker spot. But I think all my stomach issues leading up to that were signs that were kind of missed. And unfortunately,
Interesting.
took a...
Well, Heather, we did some research before you came in, and we called 3 of your college roommates, and we have them here today. if you want to bring them in.
Love for you to bring them in.
They have come here to say that we're not so sure, Heather.
Hey, I'm not
We called the local bars.
I'm not saying that I didn't do my fair share.
All right, bring in the roommates.
But
yeah. All right, in this envelope, we have... All right.
Results are.
All right, so I have to make light of it because it's a great story. But in the moment, this is tragic. I mean, you are absolutely devastated. Your family's devastated by this. I have to make a joke of things so that I don't cry.
Oh,
I'm a crier.
Me too.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so, but I mean, how tragic. You're at the most beautiful stage of life, in my opinion. The early 20s are just awesome. I mean, it's just awesome. You know everything. Honestly, you know nothing, but in your mind, you know everything. You're a giant. You're 10 feet tall. You're tough. Your skin is perfect. Like all the things, right? Abs. I only had 2 of the 6, but those 2 are awesome. So like such a great stage. So what's now going through your mind mentally?
Mentally, I was told this in person, and they said, because you're young, you have no pre-existing conditions, no diabetes, cholesterol, any of those things. We could possibly reverse the damage.
Okay. So that's
Give it some time.
Yeah.
Right. Well, fast forward 3 months, I turned completely jaundice, yellow, and started hallucinating because I thought I was losing my mind and did not know or wasn't given the explanation. It's called hepatic encephalopathy. So when your liver and your body isn't detoxing properly and those toxins start to build, they go to your brain. Your ammonia levels rise and that causes hallucinations. And I started hallucinating first time. The following day, I got a phone call from the doctor because I just had labs redone. And she said, over the phone, mind you, she said, Heather, I don't think you're going to last another 3 months. You need to come to the ER tomorrow morning. And I laughed. I laughed at her.
Why did you laugh?
Because I thought...
Were you hallucinating?
I wasn't that day.
Okay.
But I laughed because I was like, there's no way I'm going anywhere. This lady, I don't care.
Yeah.
She's what her title is. My mindset at the time, and probably part my personality, part the age and thinking you're invincible.
Yeah, sure.
And nothing can take me out. That was my initial reaction. And then she's like, Heather, I'm serious. Like, you need to come tomorrow morning.
Okay. Can we hold that right there for a second?
Sure.
Were there any cool hallucinations?
Any cool ones? Every time it involves some kind of animal or bug.
Really?
The very first one was snakes flying at my face, like snapping.
Did you write a movie about that afterwards on an airplane? Okay, so there were snakes flying at your face, snapping.
Right.
Lord have mercy.
Yes. And I was screaming and crying, hiding under the blankets because, like I said, that was the first hallucination.
Yeah.
And I thought I was losing my mind. But
unreal.
Yeah.
So you're home with your parents at this point. Like, they're seeing this. They're like, oh my gosh, she's possessed. Right? I mean, this is just unreal. Mm-hmm. Okay, so now it's serious. Yeah. Now it's intense. Yeah. The other, leading up to that, you're dealing with a lot of stuff, a lot of discovery, figuring it out.
Right.
Now they know. Now the tests are starting to get accurate. Now the technology's starting to advance. Right. Now it's starting to get real. Okay, so what happened? They tell you 3 months. All right, enough of the jokes.
Right.
Enough of the superwoman stuff.
Right.
Heather, let's get real here for a second.
Yeah.
So do they tell you have X amount of days to live? They tell you, hey, start saying goodbye to people. Like, what's the bedside manner?
Mm-hmm. Well, at that point, I went in the next morning to the ER. My parents brought me in, the whole team, liver doctors, everyone knew I was coming. And at that point, I was really out of it. Like, it's a blur to me, but I just remember, it was the infectious disease doctors, it was liver, it was cardiac, everything you could think of. Plus, it's a teaching hospital. So, you got all these students there.
Oh, gosh.
Staring at you like specimen. Yeah. And at that point, and I don't even remember this, my parents told me after, they said once they saw me in person, They told me I had less than 50% chance of living another 2 months.
Oh.
Yeah.
How do you handle that? Like,
It's really odd when I look back, because I don't know if I could be as strong now as I was then if I had to go through it again. Maybe just because of the knowledge I have of everything. But at the time, it never crossed my mind that I was going to die. I never thought about like, hey, let's party it up, or let's do a bucket list, or end of life plans, or anything like that. I never planned a thing. And it's weird because I was talking to my mom about this recently, and she's like, as bad as it was, she's like, I never thought you were going to die.
There's some power in that universal thought and that faith that caused that. Because I think if you, like, I'm a golfer, right? So if somebody told me I had 2 months to die, and I went, well, better go to church, talk to God, and by the way, that's 60 straight days of golf. Like, that's what's happening. Fly me to a different golf course every day. I'm playing. That probably would cause you to surrender to the 60 days.
Yes.
But the fact that you just were like, didn't even hear you.
Yeah. Yeah.
That might have been the thing.
And part of it too was probably, in all honesty, I was so exhausted, and just to walk, from here to the end of the block, my breathing, everything was so affected. I didn't have the energy or drive to really go out and do that. So that might have helped.
So it's like, I can't even do anything on my bucket list anyways, right? So why have one?
Right. Yeah. So then, to your point with faith, it got to, well, what do I have left? What can I do? It's my hope and my faith.
Can't take that from you.
My mind that I'm not going anywhere. And that's
cool.
What I think drove me to, whether it was delusion or whatever, it got me through.
Well, that's powerful is what that is. So 60 days, they tell you. What is the conversation with God? Did we have one? Did we have several? Was there an argument? Did he talk back?
That's funny. So there was a lot of arguments after the transplant when you start processing, but pre-transplant, there was a lot of conversations because I feel like at that point I believed in God, had a strong faith, but at that point in my life, I kind of veered away from it.
Well, you were in your 20s. We all did.
Yes. And, not hanging with the best people, and it affecting my relationship with my sister, with my parents, because they did not like
who you were hanging with.
Yeah.
The 20s are the most prideful age, and pride takes you away from God.
And I think your ego, I became hardened based off of the people I was hanging out with.
Yeah.
And it affected my relationships. So in a way, and my parents are like, Heather, why did you say this? I'm like, because I believe it. In a way, I feel like, yes, it was extreme, but a lot of times with my personality, I need something extreme to happen, or like a brick upside my head before I get it.
Yeah.
And God was warning me, like, you're going down the wrong path. You're going down the wrong path. And he stopped me in my tracks.
Warning you, but also potentially utilizing you. Yeah. Because you are the type of person that would fight through this, overcome, have the poise and the awareness to reflect on it, and now tell the story. So that helps God.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
No, that's an awesome point.
We all, we're all being utilized in some way, shape, or form. Some of us are still sitting on the bench. And we're going to get our shoulder tapped at some point that, hey, you're up now. So you're going to go through a little bit. I'm going to show you what hell looks like for a few years. And then, depending upon how you handle that, then I'm going to light you up with joy and abundance and opportunity. But we'll see how you handle those 2 years of adversity. Let's, So I think that I get a lot of people on this show that are in a really good stage in their life, But there was a point where they had to go through the desert and they got tempted and they got all the difficulties and they had to overcome that. And now it's almost like, here you go.
Right.
You did it.
Right.
Here you go.
We
Keep
got
going.
through.
So, and by the way, don't lose faith, because just because you might just be right here and you're just kind of staying right there and nothing great has happened for you yet, but nothing terrible's happened to you yet. And you just kind of, you're in the game, but like your number hasn't been called yet, good or bad. It's coming.
It's preparing you.
So better be ready. So your number got called. So what happens next? 60 days.
I'm still here.
Well, all right. End of podcast. Thanks. You ruined the ending. Heather, you ruined the ending. Gosh.
I had to throw
I'm
some
not
humor
watching the
in there.
Titanic with you.
I had to lighten it up a little.
Gosh, I wasn't going to tell them that. For all they know.
I know.
Gosh, you ruined the end. Okay, well, we'll get there. We'll circle back. Okay, so 60 days.
Had my gallbladder out. Taken out.
They took your gallbladder out.
And
Do we need a gallbladder? Really? I'm asking that honestly. I don't know.
You can survive without a gallbladder. There are some things that can be affected digestion-wise and as far as you metabolizing fats, different things like that, that I've learned through chiropractor, functional medicine doctors that I did not know. But no, you can survive without a gallbladder.
Okay. Why did they go there first?
I kept having gallbladder attacks and kept ending in the ER, or getting admitted every 2 weeks. So they said,
enough of having you come back in here.
oh, we were on a first name basis.
Yeah, they were like,
all knew me.
all right, Heather, seriously. Like,
I even got my own private room.
oh, cool.
Yeah, that was a perk. You had to look at the silver lining.
Yeah. Normally you have to donate money for that, but I guess you were donating a lot of money to them. Right. Yeah. Okay, so the gallbladder comes out. What day are we at? Are we still in that 60-day window? And now you're like,
we were probably about 60 days in, but rewind probably 45 days. I was put on the Illinois transplant list for liver.
Where were you on the list?
So they do it based off of your blood work, look at your liver enzymes, your kidney, and it's called the MELD score. So 40 is the worst. Basically, you're going to die.
Regardless of whether or not we give you a liver, you're going to die. So
I was at
hate
32.
to say it, but okay, so you were at the bottom.
Yeah, I was at 32. So that probably boosted my name on the list a bit because of how severe it was. And they said it was so sneaky and so aggressive. So then 60 days later, got the gallbladder out. About a month after that, I really started to tank. And they said you should start looking for a living donor. We'll still keep you on the wait list, obviously, if someone passes away. But your outcome would probably be better getting part of a liver from a living person.
Okay, so just to keep this going timeline-wise now. So your freshman year of college is when we started the story. Where are we age-wise now? Are we 2 years in, 3 years in?
We're about 2 years.
2 years in.
I would say 2 years.
So you're 21?
Actually, no, because I went to community college for a couple years first because I didn't
You're like 24.
What I want.
Okay.
I didn't know what I wanted to do.
Fair enough.
So I'm 24 at this point. 24. 20.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what is the big thing that's approaching? What's the big thing coming? Is there a big surgery coming? Or is it just like, hey, you're on this list. You got to go shopping and find somebody that is willing to do this. And then we got to run all the tests on them. Yes. So how does that process work? Do you find somebody who's willing and then they get a test, or you find 10 people and you go, please get a test, and then you convince them to be willing? Which one how do you do it?
So at the time, again, it might be different now, and there's so many more, I feel, resources and support groups and whatever. At the time, I wasn't on social media too much. I believe I was on Facebook. I have a younger sister, Ashley. She's 3 years younger than me. She made a flyer.
Oh.
So I picture my blood type, the diagnosis, and I'm searching for a living donor.
Aww.
Anybody willing.
What a great sister.
Right. And so I did have different friends, family friends come forward to get tested. And I didn't even know that like living donation was a thing. I had no clue. So people came forward. The first thing was getting their blood type. So if they were compatible that way, the next thing was a liver biopsy, making sure you only had 10 to 15% of fat on your liver. Further testing, as well as, if you got this far, psychological testing.
Mm.
So my sister was a blood match, and a couple of my younger cousins were blood matches, but they kind of put them on the back burner. They wanted someone a little bit older because they felt, one, they didn't want to put two sisters under the knife.
Yeah.
And psychologically, what would happen if my sister donated and I still died?
Yeah.
So,
or what if your sister died?
Right. You take a completely healthy person.
Then your recovery is going to be completely.
Oh, yeah. It wouldn't even.
Yeah.
I mean,
so understandable there.
Right.
Good thought process by the smartest people in the world. Congrats for being that smart to think of that. So who's the match?
So I was put on the wait list in June. The match came the following January, end of January. A family friend, or a friend of my cousin's, who he worked with seasonally for the water department in a nearby town of mine. And I heard he was getting tested, but at the same time, like, I never wanted to get too excited because
Yeah.
it was just like an emotional roller coaster. You hear someone getting tested and...
It's not the thing you get your hopes up for, I would imagine.
Right. So I got a phone call from him saying that he was my match. And
He called.
he called me.
Oh, okay.
Uh-huh.
So how does that conversation go? Like,
So
hey,
odd.
nice to meet you.
So odd.
Yeah, I would imagine. Like,
Well, what
you don't know me. I work with water,
Right.
and I'd like to give you my liver. Like, how does that go?
basically that was it. I got tested. Hey, I'm going to be your match, or I am your match. Do you want to go meet for lunch in like a week?
Yeah.
I'm like, what do you say? Like,
Yeah.
thank you? Like,
Wait a minute. Match for Match.com or for my liver? Which?
foreshadowing there.
Yeah. Which one is it? Wait a minute. Tinder wasn't even a thing yet. Okay, so yeah, that's interesting. Hey, we have matching livers. Want to have lunch?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And the next
That's an interesting date line, pickup line. Yeah.
And the next week we met for lunch. At that point, I was so exhausted. I couldn't even drive. I had to have my parents drive me to the Mexican restaurant we met at.
Yeah.
And
My parents drove me to my first date too, but I was 10.
I was 25. I'm a late bloomer.
We saw that movie with Madonna in it. I think it was Secretly Susan or something like that. Yeah. At Town and Country Mall.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I was serious. That was my first date. Really. Had to call my mom from a payphone. Hey, the date went terrible. Can you come get me?
Please.
Yeah. Anyways. All right. So you go out to lunch. Parents drive you.
Mm-hmm.
What's the how does it? What's the vibe here?
Yeah.
We immediately hugging like it.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's a different kind of a vibe. It's like, hey, you're gonna save my life potentially. Also, I'll have the quesadillas.
Yeah. It was awkward because I mean, I was excited to meet him, to see what he was like, but it was awkward too because I'm like, thank you. Like, what do you say? And at the same time, like, I was trying to stay positive, but I'm like, until the day that this surgery goes down, he has the opportunity to back out or decide he's too afraid to do it, which totally understand. But I'm like, until the day of the surgery, I'm a little apprehensive.
Oh yeah, like until I wake up.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Because that day could have gone bad too.
Oh,
He's like, now I'm not giving you my liver.
I
Yeah.
don't want to piss you off.
Yeah. Oh, you don't want to pay half the bill? Okay. Fair enough. No liver. So my understanding is there were more dates after that.
Yeah, there are quite a few.
Okay. So we established a bit of a relationship with the liver donor. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Want to tell us about this?
So 2 months later, we had the transplant. My portion was 12 hours. His was 7 or 8.
Wow.
The power went out during the transplant.
Is that important?
A little bit. You know, my poor parents.
What in the world, Heather? What is happening?
If something's going to happen, just, you know.
What is happening?
So the whole fire department had to come through. The backup generators didn't kick on right away. And I think, so they ended up nicking my bowel and had to suture it closed. And it was said that they were like using lights.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm like, that's when that shit happened. That's when they did it. Thankfully, besides that, the surgery went well. I didn't deal with any rejection.
Mm-hmm.
I was still in ICU for about 2.5 weeks or so. And it got a ton of media attention because it was like, local man's donating to stranger. And
Okay, so he was getting the attention for the...
we both
I would imagine both, but it is a pretty heroic,
yes,
awesome thing.
Yes.
Because it's not like he was family,
no,
right? Or a neighbor. This is like somebody just 2 towns over that works at the water company that's like, well, she seems nice. I'll give her my liver.
right.
Yeah.
My whole liver came out and I got 55% of his.
Okay.
And within 2 to 3 months, I believe it was, the portion I got in his liver grew back to full size.
It's amazing.
Crazy.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so how's the recovery for this? And like, what's the time frame? And what's it like? Brutal.
Mm-hmm. Pain-wise, well, and it's kind of funny because they told me prior that, you know, we put on a ventilator and like different tubes to keep me breathing. And typically it would take about 2 days for anyone who has a liver transplant to start breathing on their own again, be able to remove the tubes. Well, they were wheeling me on the stretcher to the recovery room. And I remember like seeing the light. And my first thought was like, oh my God, I made it. And then I could hear the voices of the nurses saying, oh my gosh, she's starting to wake up. So they just wheeled me into the recovery room and I was breathing on my own. They were able to take the tube out.
Unreal. You are a resilient bugger, I tell you what. Holy cow. Okay, so excruciating pain or so much medicine running through your system?
Both, I'd say.
Yeah.
And at that point, I had been a year in pain, so
Yeah,
my tolerance
bring it on.
was, pretty high. And they also told me that full physical recovery would take about a year. They said first 3 months, you're still going to feel just as shitty, basically. 6 months, you'll start to feel a little bit more like yourself. Full year for recovery.
Okay.
Physically.
So when are you out of the sitch? Like, when are you like, oh, okay, I can go home, I can start to do some normal stuff? Like, how long is that recovery process?
They had me up and walking pretty quickly.
Okay.
So, just trying to start exercising. I would say where I felt, okay, I can get out and be somewhat normal was 9 months after, where I started working part-time at a car dealership just to try to get some sort of...
Flinging cars. Yeah. Come on down, meet Heather. Do you like Buicks?
Her and her big scar.
Yeah. Come on down and meet Heather in a big scar. She'll sell you a Buick. Well, that's cool.
But,
so you got a gig. So now you're starting to feel good. So what's going on with the relationship?
So
that would be really weird to break up. Like, hey, thanks for the liver. Peace out, buddy. Never even really liked you.
So that
just ghost him.
Exploded pretty quickly, the whole relationship. I think getting so much media attention too, and me being kind of in La La Land and just so happy to be alive.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
We were on, my inbox was exploding with the people reaching out to me as well as interviews.
Let's go media coverage. Like, who's who?
So let's see, Rachel Ray. I didn't end up going on her show, but
I've been on her show. I'm just kidding.
Rachel Ray, Ellen DeGeneres, Steve Harvey.
Yeah.
To Tell the Truth, TV show with Anthony Anderson.
What about Ricky Lake? Let's just get right to the really good ones. Ricky Lake.
No.
Sally Jesse.
Jenny Jones.
Jenny Jones. I was on the Jenny Jones show in the audience. I almost caused a fight. Yeah, I asked a really mean question. If anyone wants to figure out, go on the internet and try and figure out the episode that I was in the audience. I asked the question. I was literally Jenny Jones holding the microphone to my face. I loved her in college. And I asked a really mean question, and it caused a fight between the baby daddy and the mom. And like the mom came at me in the audience. The security had to stop, and it was awesome. It was awesome. It was awesome. So yeah,
to look into that.
Yeah. So we have so much in common. Just kidding. All right. So do you go on the shows, or they're just reaching out?
So they reached out to me. We were on the Steve Harvey show. We were on different radio shows. We were featured in like Cosmopolitan, Women's Health, Star magazine, different magazines and articles. Steve Harvey, I'm not going to say it yet because I'll let you lead into that, but what he presented us with at his show was our honeymoon.
Oh, okay. Yes. He gave you a honeymoon?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. He surprised us with it. So
I wish I could do a Steve Harvey imitation right now, because I would try and like set up how it happened. But it's not coming to me. I'm sure I'll be driving home and I'll be like, it'll just hit me, and I'll be like, got it down perfect. Right. But we'll have to edit that in. So you go on the show and tell the whole story. And then Steve's like, and by the way, because of this amazing scenario, show them what they've won.
Right.
Yeah.
And door number 1. So he gave us our honeymoon. It was 5 days, 4 nights. Sandals Resort to Jamaica.
Nice. So you're married now.
We were.
Or he gave you a honeymoon.
We were engaged.
Okay, so I'm just saying it wasn't like a bit presumptuous. Like, no. Here's your honeymoon. He's like, oh, no, well, we're not married yet. he's like, care to go down on a knee and do it now? Like, talk about trying to get good television. All right, so
we were
you were engaged. Okay, so that's pretty cool. So this is a whirlwind. I mean, this is all happening like fast. Like you're 9 months out. Next thing you know, the news, every newspaper, Sally, Jesse, Raphael, Maury Povich, Jerry Springer, they're all calling. Luckily, you were picking the good ones to go on, like Steve Harvey. And so you go on the show, you tell a story, he gives you a honeymoon. You guys got to just be floating. This is cool.
Yeah.
Like you go from, I'm going to be a nurse and, maybe 45 people a day will know who I am to boom.
Right. And I also went back to school full time for occupational therapy assistant.
Okay.
So there was a lot going on.
Holy cow.
I thought, before we started, just talking about the mental health end of it, I thought I was rocking.
Oh, you're out of the woods, man.
Oh, I thought I was
You're good to go.
Processing everything.
Star.
Yes, this is just like came out of the trenches, but this is all worth it. Like, because look at what's going on.
The outside material stuff.
Yeah.
In that it's the temptation. It's that here's the material stuff. Oh, don't worry about the fact that inside you're totally broken, a mess, haven't really dealt with things, haven't gone through therapy, not quite sure where your faith is at. Right. Like, don't worry about those things. But here's a honeymoon.
Right.
Here's the news. Like, it's all the outside material stuff. It's all that temptation stuff.
It's an instant gratification.
Oh, my God. And it just glosses over it, doesn't it?
Yes. And you don't. Oh, I didn't even realize, like, you haven't even scratched the surface of healing or processing or.
Not even close.
No, not even.
Okay, so okay. I don't want to ask that question yet, because that's like skipping so much of the guts of this. Okay, so you go on the honeymoon. How's the honeymoon?
Honeymoon was awesome.
Just backstroking.
I mean, they lost our luggage for.
Well, of course they did, Heather. Nothing has been smooth for you. Did you think that they were? Did you think your luggage was going to be in the room, folded in the drawers, ready for you? Of course they lost your luggage. Nothing is easy for you.
Yeah. I mean, thank God I had my anti-rejection medicine on me.
Oh, God.
And,
thank God.
So I made it through.
Yeah.
But bought a bathing suit in the little boutique there, and we were good for
$800.
Right, yeah, exactly.
You got a deal for you.
Right.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, we went horseback riding. We swam with the dolphins.
Wait a minute. You went horseback riding after A liver transplant? You're not worried about the bouncing?
I said I won't go tubing anymore.
Okay, yeah, that's...
But the horseback riding...
Yeah, I guess you kind of got to do that on a beach.
And again, it goes back to kind of that invincible mindset at the time. That
Well, you really like to push the boundaries and test it. So the honeymoon's good.
Parents aren't too thrilled about that.
No, I'm sure. Honeymoon's good.
Yeah.
Had a great time.
Yes.
Come back from the honeymoon. What are the next steps? Are we getting married?
So
or you've already gotten married. Now that's why you're on the honeymoon. 2 months before, on the honeymoon. Get back. Are we talking children? I guess I should have asked.
So, yes, they said that I could have kids. Obviously, I'd be high risk.
Yes,
of course. And we had discussed it prior that I have cousins, a bunch of cousins who are adopted.
Okay.
China, South Korea, Guatemala, Russia. So I was totally open to adoption, and so was he.
So honorable.
Yeah.
To do that.
Yeah. So I want to say maybe a year into our marriage, we, out of Crystal Lake, signed with an adoption agency.
Great. Okay. And how did that go?
Well, we got to the point of the home study done, all the paperwork, fees, all that. And we're just waiting for mom to choose us. But there was a bit of trouble in paradise. So that didn't work out, unfortunately.
Now, is paradise like the neighborhood you live in, or where's the trouble?
Marital
paradise.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. And so this is a dilemma because the person you fell in love with is also the person who is the donor.
Right. So that's kind of a messes with your
and we
mind
still haven't dealt with mental health.
Right. I didn't.
So, and mental health now becomes a risk to physical health.
Oh, absolutely.
So help me understand.
Sure. I never realized the extent how much your mental, like there's no separation between the mental and physical health. I realized that after the transplant, dealing with the physical recovery, if I had a hard day mentally, or I got into a screaming fight with my parents or my husband, or was emotional that day, those next couple days following, my physical health, like I was in so much more pain, I was more tired. And that's when I really realized how much these things are interconnected. And we started having some issues, started going to counseling, and that's probably when I started to realize that's when I started to have almost a grieving process that I didn't have.
That you've skipped.
Yes. So it was like, when someone passes away, you go through that, the denial, the sadness, the anger, the acceptance. And that's what kind of triggered that for me. And I would get to a certain point where I'm like, okay, I think I've accepted things. And then something would trigger and I'm like, oh, no, we have not accepted it.
Yeah.
And that's when for me, like, I always hated crying. So to me, it was like, that was a sign of weakness.
Really? Crying's my favorite.
Oh, God. Now,
just kidding.
Now I'm a little better with it.
Yeah. Crying is terrible.
I absolutely hate it. I would fight it so bad. But I realized that after a while that I was denying my reality.
And sometimes you got to let it rip. Oh. You just got to let it rip.
My God.
I'm sorry. I'm a man. I don't care. A good cry is awesome.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just need a good freaking cry. You just get that thing out.
Yes.
Right? My thing is, too, when I'm mad, I get sad. So, like, I would be the person who'd be in a fist fight crying in the fist fight. Like if you piss me off, I get sad first, and then I think I might, and then I get angry, and that's probably not a good time to be around me because but sometimes you just got to have a good cry. So how many good cries do we have to get to the center of the Tootsie Pop?
I couldn't even tell you because at the same time, we were having all these interviews and I was starting to feel a bit of like a fraud because you had people.
They want the happy story.
Yes. And I'm like, I am not happy. I'm not happy. And I'm going on camera like, yes, this is a blessing. I'm forever grateful. Like, who would do this for a stranger?
Yeah.
Not taking away from that.
And they're forcing you through the question asking to glaze That's a term that my children taught me. Glazing means that you're making sweet talk about somebody,
Glossing
right?
over.
So they're asking you to glaze this human that did a wonderful thing.
Right.
You're forever
Right.
in debt to this human being in that regard.
Right.
But
Came to kind of realize that what I thought he was my true love in this fairy tale was probably more of this extreme sense of gratitude that I had for what he did for me.
So easy to confuse, I would imagine, though.
Yes.
Like the euphoric love of somebody would do that for you.
Right. And thinking, oh my gosh, if he would do this for me,
what else would he do? Yeah. He's certainly going to pick up his socks. He'll do this.
Oh, that's another story.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, that was the mindset then. And then the constant reinforcement from the media.
Yeah.
And then
you've married an angel.
Yes. Yes.
So the media, by the way, can I ask you a question? I want you to answer this honestly.
Yeah.
Who's better, me or Steve Harvey? Just save that for the end. We already know the answer, folks.
We'll talk later.
Yeah, we already know the answer. IT decision makers, this might sting. Frustrated with IT issues, security threats, and the stress of your technology infrastructure, your technology should blend seamlessly with your business objectives. Technology infrastructure management with limited resources can be exhausting and counterproductive. Do you have an MSP but still have problems and technical hiccups? GSD's advisement, proactive maintenance, cutting-edge cybersecurity, cloud solutions, data backup, and local 24/7 help desk can change the game. Your technology should outpace your business operations to allow for growth, and proactive strategies should prevent issues before they arise. Get back your time and your money with GSD. Drive business forward. Leave the technology to GSD. GSDnow.com. Now, all of a sudden, your story is starting to get picked up in a way that people want to go beyond an interview.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us about that.
They're flying us out to New York, to California a couple times, Fox and Friends, in Valentine's Day weekend in New York. Like I said, To Tell the Truth with Anthony Anderson. And then one day, Hallmark calls me. Hallmark Channel calls up. And I was floored. Like, this has got to be a joke.
Yeah.
And if they only knew what was going on.
Yeah, exactly. How am I going to weave this one?
Like, God has a funny sense of humor.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Okay, so Hallmark calls. What are the steps to that? So it's like a scout, right, that calls you. Probably like an assistant producer or executive assistant or whatever. Mm-hmm. And really what they are is they're a salesperson. They're selling you on the idea of, hey, we're going to take your story. It's going to be amazing. It's going to blow up. You're going to get endorsements. You're going to get a book deal. Like, we need you to come out and tell the whole story, and we're going to make you look like $1 million, right? Mm-hmm. Is that kind of the pitch?
So yes and no, like, because they never promised like a book deal. They never promised endorsements. They said, we want to make your story into a Christmas movie. And yeah, jazz it up.
Yeah.
Hallmark style.
Put some tinsel on it.
Right, right. But they were very stern on like how much they would give us. And like so many people think that I get, what is it called? Every time something plays, money-wise. Oh my gosh, I can't think of the word. It starts with an R. Anyways, they think every time the movie gets played, I get some kind of...
Residuals.
Yeah.
No?
No.
Oh, shoot. Well, I'll stop playing it. I had it on a 24-hour reel for you.
I appreciate it.
I just had a TV with it just on a loop. Like, at some point, she's going to call and thank me for this. She's got to be loaded by now.
No.
So there's no residuals?
No.
Interesting.
But at the time, like, we did contact a lawyer to see if they would negotiate, like, the contracts with my husband and I at the time, but they would not negotiate. And at the time, I wasn't even thinking money-wise or anything. Like, what is residuals?
You were thinking, I'm not happy in this marriage.
Right. And I was also thinking, okay, this was 11 years ago. The whole living donation thing wasn't as known. Like, I didn't even know it was a possible thing until I was in that situation. So for me, it was, I wanted to get the word out there, educate.
Yeah.
Show people you really have to be an advocate for your health.
So this was not your purpose, is what you're saying. Like, you didn't want to be like a star.
No.
See what I mean?
Sure. Was it cool? Yeah.
Yeah,
Awesome.
of course it would be. It's the temptation part, but it's not,
Right.
You're not living out your purpose. And the way that you're wired is you wanted to actually, because you were going to be a nurse. So you like the science part and you want to help people.
Exactly.
So like you weren't picking a career that was high glamour.
Right.
Or you're going to be in an ER with blood and,
Right.
and guts and
Exactly.
people in tragic situations. So that just right there tells you where your values are and where your mindset is.
Right.
So this is kind of going inconsistent with who you are as a human being. And now you're starting to feel that, like, they want you to tell the glamorous part of it and the happy-go-lucky and put some tinsel on it. And isn't this beautiful? And we're all wearing plaid. Right. Right. They want it. Here, we're going to have you in matching pajamas for this scene.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, God.
So
Gag me.
yeah. So so it's not you. And all the while you want to go tell the story and dig into the science of it and be like, hey, this is what really needs to happen. So you're in this external and internal battle.
Yeah.
You got the external world is pulling you and you want to go a different direction, but you also have this internal thing of like, people think I'm this, but I'm actually really feeling this.
Yeah.
And are you just tucking that down, or do you have outlets that you can speak with and know the true story, like your sisters, your mom and dad, and so on?
So at the time, it was my therapist that I talk with her, as well as extremely close with my parents and my sister. So I was able to express some of this, but there was a lot of shame involved.
Oh my gosh, I'm sure.
Because it was so public, and now it's like, oh my
And you're going to look like the bad one.
yes. Like, you'd get comments.
Well, how
like,
terrible.
right. Get comments like, oh, I can't even get a call back, and he donated his liver. And I'm like,
How do I now? Yeah.
no, I
oh
like
my.
the asshole.
You're trapped.
Well, yeah.
There is no worse feeling than feeling trapped. You guys, if you're listening to this, you know this. If you ever felt like trapped in a relationship or trapped in a job or trapped in debt, I know that feeling.
Oh, yeah. Me too.
Not a great feeling. But that feeling of trapped is so, it's frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
And frustration is just like,
Yeah. It just gnaws at you.
mm-hmm.
And then it started to affect me more mentally to where, like, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm still dealing with physical health problems due to the anti-rejection medicine. And now I'm in counseling, and now I have to put on this facade because we signed the contract with Hallmark a year and a half ago, and the movie's not coming out till now. And I started feeling like, gosh, there's so many people waiting for transplants. This is where things kind of got dark for me. I was like, there's so many people waiting for transplants. And I was fortunate enough.
Now you feel guilty.
And now I feel guilty. And like all the things I have to deal with physically that people don't realize, and side effects of medicine and the struggles with that, like, was it worth it?
Mm.
Do I want to continue?
Oh, no.
Feeling?
Start talk. That's not good talk.
Yeah. So it kind of went.
So is the mental part now starting to affect the physical part?
I would say so.
Yeah, are you starting to feel worn down again? Like you're
I
not
was exhausted all the time.
exhausted?
Just wanting to sleep. Now I was working part-time as occupational therapy assistant, just not wanting to go to work, just not feeling fulfilled.
Almost like how this whole story started.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing how the physical and the mental can run parallel like that?
Oh, gosh. Yeah. It's wild.
Wild.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so who plays you in this Hallmark movie?
Amy T. Garden.
Okay, I would have said Christina Applegate.
Oh.
would have been a good
Yeah.
a good pull.
Yeah. So I didn't have any choice in that. I told them, like, we will sign with you, but I want as close to the story as possible.
Yeah, you weren't like, it's Sharon Stone or nobody. I'm not doing it.
No, I had no call.
Okay,
for that.
no call. All right.
So, yeah.
So the movie's called Hallmark's Once Upon a Christmas Miracle.
Mhm.
And what were the reviews like? How did it go? How did it make you feel? Were you at least like, hey, this is kind of cool?
It got
Like, did you have some
Oh,
I mean, it's on your thing. We're talking about it right now, so I had to be kind of
right. Oh my gosh, yeah. It was so surreal because who has a movie made about their life story?
Yeah, I've had 3, but I mean, most people don't have one. You're right. I mean, I know you've only had 1. I've had 3. No, but I mean, it is amazing. It's amazing to have a movie written about you. That's just absolutely phenomenal. And typically that means that you either did something great or something terrible happened to you. In this case, it was both for you.
Thank you. That's true. For me at the time, because the marriage and everything, I was honestly so miserable. That it was amazing. And it gave me a purpose that like, okay, yes, I'm going through all this, or I went through all this already with the transplant, but there's a bigger meaning in this. There's a bigger purpose in, oh my gosh, look at all these people reaching out to me, and it's giving them hope, and they're holding on, and it's giving them the faith to keep fighting. It's not about me.
So you're starting to see the purpose now. Now, even though you ruined the ending, and we know that you lived through this. Jeez. Talk about somebody who just doesn't know how to keep the good part for the end.
That's for the interview.
I know. Steve Harvey would have screwed it up too. He would have.
Yeah.
So now the purpose is starting to come clear, which is just absolutely awesome. And but again, we'll ruin another part. Marriage does not work out.
I joke,
You joke. It is what it is. Guess what? Liver or no liver, or Hallmark or no Hallmark.
Right.
50-60% don't.
Right.
It's easy to say on both your sides, we get it. Mm-hmm. He's wanting to do the most honorable, loving, amazing human thing you could possibly do. Right. You feel euphoric love for somebody having that level of kindness towards you.
Right.
It's easy to see that would just cause an in-love scenario. Right. The pressure of all of these other things probably was doing more bad than good.
Right. Realize it at the time.
Yeah. So like, I mean, and by the way, you didn't have like a 1.5 to 2 years of courting where you lived together for a year and you realize that he leaves toothpaste in the sink, and that you never pick up your ramen crumbs, when you break them into the pot. Like, those are things that are actually pretty good to learn before you get engaged and married. So you skip that whole part. That's tough.
Yeah.
So, understandable. Mm-hmm. He's still a great person for this. Mm-hmm. You're a fantastic person. You go on this journey. The movie's made. The movie's out. When do we start focusing on getting ourselves mentally right?
I would say,
so you can help the other people that you need to go help.
Right. So it was kind of ironic that the producer of the movie wasn't sure at first that Hallmark would even create the movie because of the sad part of it, that the transplant and everything. So it was crazy that you would ask. It became the highest rated and most viewed Hallmark movie premiere in network history. So that kind of added.
You're welcome, Hallmark.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't even want to do the movie.
Exactly. You're welcome. Just throw Heather's name on that bad boy, goes to the top. Like, surprised you didn't know that.
So that kind of added to somewhat of validation in my mind that, yes, I'm suffering in a way, but there's got to be a purpose. So fast forward, it was probably a little under a year. I built up the strength to leave the marriage. And that's when I really dug into, okay, we need to focus on Heather. Mm-hmm. I've always been someone, for whatever the reason, leading up to that, always had a boyfriend, always was with somebody. And I kind of came to realize, for whatever reason, your lack of confidence, your lack of self-esteem, I still don't know why, but I needed that validation and that person next to me to, oh yeah, you're good. Keep going, keep going. Instead of just having the belief in myself.
Yeah.
And so once I asked for the divorce, I moved back home with my parents at 30 at the time.
There's no reason to be embarrassed in that. Have you looked at the world lately?
I know.
You're not alone.
I know.
And by the way, it's great that parents take in their 30-year-old. That's freaking amazing. So I'm not knocking that either.
No.
Because generations ago, if a 30-year-old called up and said, "Can I move home?" Dad would have been like, "What?"
Right.
Beat it.
Yeah.
Right.
So I was extremely grateful that my parents, with open arms,
it's awesome.
Back. So, like I said, that was when I started to try to not decompress in a way and start to process things.
Yeah.
I realized I was probably suppressing for the past 5 years and didn't realize I was denying my reality. Yeah. As much as I did not like that I was getting divorced, stopped the adoption process, living with my parents, no job, lost it during COVID. So the divorce was during COVID also. So add that to
resume is not looking good here, Heather.
All that authenticity here,
Yeah.
See what you got. I just came to, like, you have to be honest with yourself at this point. You have to be brutally honest. This is the situation and you can hate it, but until you acknowledge it and start to work through it, you're going to continue to be stuck in the same spot and not move forward. And that's what
All right. So, Heather, the name of the podcast is the Get Shit Done Experience. It's about how people get shit done. So how did you get this shit done? Like, how did you do that? Because some people have to break. I was one of them. I had to break. You want to talk about throw a brick at somebody's head to get them to do something. Like, I have to hit myself in the head while people are throwing a brick at me. And then I go. So how did you do it? There's got to be a smarter way. Please tell me a smarter way that you did it than the way that I did it. But what was did you map it out? Did you journal? Did you write it down? Did we go mad into diet, health? Did we start working out? Like, did we go back to church? What was the thing? Did we start collecting crystals? I don't know what you did. Yeah. What did you do? How did you get this shit done? Because you had to deal with the physical and the mental and essentially start life over.
So first it started with a lot of journaling. I became like a Pinterest whore and would write down all these.
That's one way to say it. Okay. We'll be back in 2 and 2. Go ahead.
Things just come up.
I don't know. I went to Chuck Lowry on that one. Probably. Yeah. We'll be back in 2 and 2. All right. Sorry.
You're good. So a lot of like warrior, survivor, Bible verses, things that when I was feeling down or sorry for myself, I would read it and it's like, it would give me that boost. So journaling. And then, like I said, the divorce was during COVID and probably about 6 months later, I fell into it like 3-month depression. And I'd never been in that type of depression before. Maybe a couple days, you feel down. I was able to pull myself out for probably 3 months. Not when I get out of bed.
Yeah.
Did not care what I looked like. Didn't want to shower. Didn't get my hair done. So a family member of mine who's a coach and was in corporate and has his own nonprofit now, he saw what was happening. And God love my parents, but I think were dealing with their own type of PTSD.
You're damn right they were.
And they would push me to an extent, but at the same time, they would kind of baby me in a way, like, oh, don't worry, you don't have to do that.
Well, I'm sure it was the first time they ever dealt with this scenario.
Yeah.
Like, they had a Hallmark star in their house. How do you handle, you know what I mean? Like,
right. And now
like a transplant to, like, all over the news to look at what our daughter's done with this. Like, when I say a Hallmark star, I'm like not being a jerk and making light of that. I'm like, you had the #1 ranked. As a parent, you'd be like, oh my God, my daughter took the worst scenario ever. And now her story is #1 on Hallmark. Like, as a parent, that's how you would likely think.
Right.
And you almost want to be like, cool, now I don't have to, this is awesome. Now I don't have to like deal with the pain.
Right.
Because I could just go right to the fun. Let's skip this part. We could just go right to the awesome part.
Right. So they were probably.
So they were dealing with it too.
Yeah.
But the uncle you're referring to is a quadriplegic who had his own tragedy at 17 years old.
Yes.
And so and by the way, got really tough love to get through that. So is that what he applied?
Yes. He saw, my decline, and he saw, not that my parents were incapable, just a different approach than his.
Somebody had to be the heavy.
Yes. And he was willing to be the heavy. And I always like idolized him and respected him because, he's in a manual wheelchair for 45 years as a quadriplegic, and the success that he's had, it makes you kind of look at yourself then like, okay, Heather, get your shit shit done.
I met him, Heather, and it was a rough week after that. I did a lot of looking in the mirror like, you gotta be kidding me. Get yourself together.
Right, snap
I told you I lost 15 pounds since I met him.
Yes, I could.
Because literally I was like, what? Like, to do some push-ups. My God, this guy's absolutely brilliant. He's amazing. Like, what is wrong with you? Now, after meeting you now on this episode, what do you think's going to happen? I'm going to squeeze really hard and my hair's going to grow back. Like, I feel like I could do anything after meeting the two of you. Shame on me if I don't.
Thank you.
So, okay, fun. We're making light of this because it's an awesome story, and Heather gave away the ending, so we're not crying. But it is a pretty amazing scenario. So he comes in as the heavy, and typically when the heavy comes in, it hurts first.
Yes.
So tell us about that.
I was at a point of, that saying where it's like, the pain and staying in the same place is worse than like the fear of change.
Yeah.
And I was at that point where I felt like I was just bursting inside, like something needs to change, something needs to be done. So I was open to his help.
Yeah.
Didn't mean
the fire was coming. Yeah. Didn't mean you were going to react well to it.
Right. Didn't mean some of it didn't sting, but I knew it was from a place of love.
Yeah.
And I, for the first time, saw the value in getting a coach, a mentor, whatever you want to call it, because I just didn't, it wasn't my world in the past, and I didn't see, I guess, the value until I was in desperate need of it.
So what type of coach do we go to? Do we go to a therapist? Do we go to a life coach?
So I did some therapy, psychological. Through the hospital, they had me go to a psychiatrist as well. That was just kind of protocol after the transplant. So I followed up with him, more so with a psychologist. And then from there, when I felt like I kind of hit a plateau, then went to, almost like a lifestyle business strategist, because I was kind of shifting in what I was doing with my career as well.
Purpose starting to come into play. You're starting to get all these scenarios. They're it's like all the breadcrumbs are starting to add up to a loaf of bread, right? Like all the pieces are scattered and the puzzle's starting to come together.
Into view.
It's like, I've gone through all of this for a reason. Just please send me a sign. Like, tell me what is the reason? Like, where is this coming from? Oh no, now I can't even get out of bed. Wait a minute. So if somebody drops the heavy on me and then I go get the coaching and I get this, and now another part of the story starts to come into play. So it's like, went through this, found purpose, went through this, found how to overcome pain. So now you're starting to map out like, hey, look, here's some steps that you can use to overcome anything. Like, if I can overcome this, you can overcome anything. Because if you really look at it, how many people could honestly look you in the eye and say that what they're going through is the equivalent of or worse than what you went through, right? So somebody like myself could look at you and go, well, that's perspective. I could now put myself in a scenario and say, well, if I follow the steps that Heather followed and she got through that, then what can I get through since I'm dealing with this, right?
Right.
So how do you take all of that and kind of ball this up into the uncoiled mind?
So
what's the uncoiled mind, Heather?
Well, I'm working on launching that.
Okay.
We're in the process, but I came up with that name. And if you see in the logo, it looks like a snake kind of coming up the middle of it and the brain on one side.
It's a pretty cool logo.
Thank you. Thank you.
By the way, the logo I'm looking at is Heather Krueger's logo on LinkedIn. If you would please take a moment to click onto LinkedIn, to go onto her profile, hit the follow button and the connect button, especially if you are somebody who's in charge of a brand and you're looking for a way to inspire, let's say, your sales team. Let's say you're looking for a way to inspire the culture at your organization, and you're looking for a way to get your employees to realize that there is nothing too big for them to collectively come together and achieve, like sales growth, let's say, or like diversification to penetrate new markets. And a story like this could potentially inspire them just to push a little harder, think a little deeper, love a little more, be a little kinder, right? Yeah. See a little bigger. So if you would be so kind as to click on her profile and click that like button, click the follow button. Let's crank her followers up to like 5,000 to 10,000. If we could do that by Thursday, that would be great. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
So you're working on this whole thing, and that process is starting with motivational and keynote speaking. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yes.
This whole process is all leading up to the present,
where I am now.
Where you are right now. So where are you right now?
So I just, like I said, kind of came up with this brand, this logo, the Uncoiled Mind, with the snake down the middle in the brain, because, like I said, my first hallucination that I had was of these snakes flying at me. And at the time, I was kind of in and out of like lucidness, I don't know if that's the right word, where I could logically say, okay, I know these snakes.
Yeah, that's not a snake.
This isn't actually happening. They're not actually here. But during the hallucination, it was so real and so traumatic. For years, I want to say up until this past year, I couldn't even look at a snake. Like if I was scrolling on Instagram, a snake came up, anything. That if I saw a snake that night, I would have a nightmare. It was just like so ingrained in my brain. So with the Uncoiled Mind, I branded that because there's so many things in our life, I think, that are illusions or fear, that it's because of our programming, maybe our anxiety, our self-sabotage, our negative self-talk, that we're blocking ourselves and we stay stuck longer than we have to because of this illusion of something.
Wow. That could be another episode. I think you would host that show and I could go on a rant about self-sabotage and blocking and being stuck.
Yes.
And the spiral and believing things, fortune telling.
Yes.
Was my big thing. Yes. I would fortune tell that, the 12 people in the room, because of how they looked at me that one time, they assume and think all of these things about me, and they're out to get me.
They become paranoid almost.
Oh, yeah. Literally can get to that point and then become obsessed by it. So the snake part.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you see a connection between... Are you seeing a connection between like some satanic, some devil kind of snake in the garden kind of thing? Because when you talk about self-sabotage, that makes
your own worst
enemy.
Makes
Satan happy.
Yeah.
When you talk about the temptation of celebrity,
an instant gratification,
boy, that makes the devil and Satan happy because that's control. So I feel like there's a little, I don't know. It feels little. There's like a thing in there, like here's some snakes, Heather, in your hallucination. Like they're coming after you. Don't let them.
Yes. And then also, I never thought of that until you bring that up, but that's so true, because it's like if you believe in the devil and hell and stuff, it's like he's tempting you to believe these things that aren't true and to trap you. And then also, like if you think of with nursing, that the symbol with the stake up the middle, that also like represents healthcare. So
and
there's multiple.
And why? Because of knowledge? Is that the...
So I Googled it, and it actually goes back to like something way far in the Bible, and I can't remember the year, but it has to do with
Moses' staff?
With healing.
Okay.
It has to do with healing.
If somebody in the comments of this podcast could put what the snake represents in the logo for the medical profession. Perhaps a doctor might know. Thank you. Okay, continue.
So yes, with the motivational speaking that I'm now doing, I try to preface it with like, don't turn me off when I'm speaking when you hear I had a transplant. Because sometimes I notice when I tell someone that, they're like, oh, well, you've been through way more. They kind of minimize their own issues.
Chris Malzewski. Okay, so he was on the podcast.
Okay.
And he is a mental health warrior.
Okay.
He runs a thing. Oh my gosh. the walking tall movement.
Okay.
He was in a mass shooting. He was the one in Highland Park. He was the head of the parade there. He was like assistant director of the park district in Highland Park, the mass shooting. So after that, just massive PTSD, all that. Yeah. And so he literally just posted about that, and he talks about that. Like, don't make light of your situation. It's not a contest.
Right.
Like, it's
comparing.
Yeah, it's not a contest. So, so when Heather comes in and talks about her thing, like, don't be like, well, my thing sucks compared to that. Like, no, your thing is your thing, and it's been presented to you because that's what you are supposed to handle at this moment.
Right.
And you probably don't want Heather's thing, so just be happy that that's your thing, right? But also know that it's important and it's worthy and it makes sense and it's difficult and it's your story. So deal with that.
Right. And also I say, like, okay, if the worst thing that's ever happened to you is you had a horrible paper cut or you broke your pinky, that's the worst pain you know. So, like, we can't compare stories here, but what I want to express to people when I do the speaking or coaching is based off of what I went through. These are the lessons that I learned. Yeah. And no matter if the worst thing that happened to you is that, you lost an animal or you went through a divorce or your business is failing, the lessons that I can help you apply and the different ways to cultivate them will still.
Okay, Heather. So let's give the answers to the test. What are the answers? Give us 3 or 4 things that, I mean, I might appear perfect. Thank you. But certainly I am not. Shocker. So yeah, I'd like 4 things. I want to know. I think our listeners would like to know too. What are some of the things you've dealt with some massive stuff and you've helped a bunch of people to deal with their stuff? So what are some things that we could do? Some real tactical, practical, tangible, get after it type things.
So one, like I said, to be open to not being ashamed for asking for help. Because if you could imagine, I was someone who's very stubborn and did not want to ask for help. I felt that was a sign of weakness, didn't want to cry, thought I could do it all on my own. So going for therapy, getting a coach, just talking to a friend, opening up, I think is the start of that.
One, asking for help is not a sign of weakness. It's actually a sign of strength.
Absolutely. Because
the hardest part of the whole thing is to ask for the help. You have to be strong to do that. So you're actually strong because you asked for help.
And acknowledging that, you need that help. The next thing for me was keeping that faith in yourself, and whether that, it doesn't have to be a religious thing. Like for me, it was a religious thing, but it was also like faith in the fact that the belief that things are going to get better. It's just going to take some time. The next thing for me was also holding on to that hope, because sometimes, like I said in the past, hope and faith are the only things you have left when everything is.
Well, now you're talking about vibrational stuff too, right?
Frequency.
Frequency, vibrational stuff. Like what you send off is what's going to come back to you. You attract things. They call it a vibe because it's a vibration. Vibrations happen through frequencies. Frequencies are energy. So if your energy is hopeful, if your energy is loving, then that's what's going to come back to you. So in the toughest moments, man, if you could find just a way to get to that type of energy, it really is helpful. So how do you do that?
So for me, like you said, I used to think the whole vibration frequency thing, I didn't 100% believe it in a way until I started working with a couple different coaches actually, and they were like, okay, shame and anger and lack of acceptance, all these things are low vibration.
Very low vibration.
And then you start to get up a little higher and it's like acceptance and joy, and the highest is enlightenment. And I feel like that's where I was when the doctor told me you got 3 months to live, and I laughed at her because I was vibrating so high that you could tell me anything and I wasn't going to believe you.
Yeah.
And then once I started processing things, I kind of got knocked back down to in those low vibrations. And when I was working with the coach, he would point out to me the power of negative or positive self-talk. And I didn't even realize how negative I had become.
Yeah.
And why was nothing changing in my life? And so he would point out to me, Heather, that was the 5th time today you told me you're tired, or you told me you're in pain. And I was like, you gotta be shitting me. I did not.
Yeah.
Like, yes, Heather.
You know what's crazy is this happens in business, Heather. You could take a sales department with a manager that wants to continue to remind the whole team that nobody's hitting budget, and they're creating a low vibration in the room, which means their culture is going to be an absolute wreck.
Yeah.
And so if you continue to remind the team that they came in late, that they don't work hard enough, that they're not hitting their numbers, that they're not adding up, that they're not measuring up, the team will vibrate on that level. That energy will transmit throughout your whole organization, not just your sales department. Eventually you lose control of the culture. And guess what? What is happening internally starts to vibrate externally. Now the marketplace is like,
Calm down.
and then you go, well, why can't we get any leads and get out of this rut? Well, I don't know. Maybe you're vibrating at a level that is like sales repellent.
Right.
Like your salespeople can't like get out of their own way.
Right.
And meanwhile, you've got essentially, a cause of that. And the cause of it is continuing to repetitiously tell a very negative story internally. So when you look at the idea of getting shit done, one of the things that you could do for your organization is start to invent and write a more positive story, put more incentive in place, share more wins on a daily basis, make the wins smaller, make the incentives closer to the nose so they're not so far apart. Like if your bonuses are all quarterly, like that's 3 months. Like how do you get somebody motivated on day one of something 3 months out? Make it 2 days away for the bonus. Make it smaller, more incremental, and then vibrate that positive energy of wins, and it'll start to create momentum. When that momentum happens, then the internal momentum starts to carry out to the field. The external market starts to look at the organization as a team that is winning. The external market goes, we want to work with winners. What are they doing that they keep winning all the time? Well, we want to work with winners. Now the external market starts calling you. So this is how the human condition works. So it's not your product or service that's the problem. It's not your price that's the problem. It's the fact that your team has been told that they're not adding up. Stop telling them they're not adding up. Start talking about how amazing they are. Yeah, so
that's so true.
It works for a brand as well as it works for a human, because a human is a brand. They're their own damn brand.
Yep.
So why don't you create some brand champions in your organization? You'll kick some ass.
Absolutely.
All right, so
True.
sorry for the rant. Steve Harvey can't rant like that.
It's funny.
So what's 3?
3, I would say, is working to, like, whatever your vision is, or if, I don't know if you have a vision at that point, but you have some ideas or you're trying to figure out your purpose. For me, I started networking.
Yeah.
And that was a foreign world to me.
Yeah. It's uncomfortable.
It's very uncomfortable. So you have to, as my uncle would say, get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah. Some Navy SEAL stuff.
Yes.
But I'm not to insult the Navy SEALs. We're not holding a log in the ocean right now at 4 a.m. But, getting uncomfortable with the idea of being uncomfortable, being comfortable with the idea of being uncomfortable, doing things that create discomfort until they're comfortable is really important in building a brand.
Right. And like, getting in rooms with like-minded people and being able to collaborate, it starts to spark like an excitement in you, and like a fire in a direction, in validation, and people who want to refer you and help you that you might have been lacking on your own.
Don't be a networker, be a multiplier.
All
right? Because networking oftentimes, I think people approach the idea of networking that they're going there for them to find stuff.
Yeah.
Being a multiplier means that you're going there with the idea of how can I help people get stuff.
Yes. And I've
get connected.
And
I've witnessed you do it.
Yeah. And I've noticed, I won't call out names, but different networking, multiplying events that I've gone to, there's a different vibe.
Yeah.
Where either you could see the people you were meeting, if
your service isn't a benefit to them, see you, bye.
Yeah.
That's it. Where others, it's like, okay, I might not be of service to you, but they're like, hey, have you met so-and-so?
Let me introduce you, right?
And you're building that connection, that relationship. This
is the biggest problem with sales.
Yes.
Sales is so much about the ask right now. Send AI, send a BS email, send a BS DM that I didn't even write that AI generated. I got one before you came in today. I got one. And it was like your publishing career shows that you would be a fantastic. And my response was, AI let you down this time. I get publishing career. What the hell are you talking about?
Right.
But it's so lazy. It's so lazy, right?
It is.
So this whole thing about sales right now is like, just get to the warm body and ask them for something. Yeah. Shame.
It don't work like that.
Shame. No, it's about the give, people. Yes, find the warm bodies. Get their attention. Give. Introduce them to your network.
Right.
Give them 3 leads.
Right.
Get them on a golf course with 2 people they could do business with so that you could potentially earn their business. You know what I mean? Like, it's about the give.
Right.
So that's why I say be a multiplier, not a networker.
Yeah. No, I like
Maybe I should start a networking group called The Multiplier. It's probably in my intentional journal that I wrote down, so stay tuned. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
No. But I think that plays into also like tying into if we're being genuine and authentic and back to your purpose.
Yeah.
What is driving you? I realize that we all go through a lot of painful things, but learning how to transition that into your purpose. And it sounds cliche, but like instead of letting the pain defeat you, you're using that to fuel you to build something.
I love that.
Something that I've had to work at. It doesn't come easy.
So if somebody was going to give you a test, what would they call it? A litmus test? Like if somebody was going to test like where you're at right now in the present, are you in the strongest part? Right, like is it go time right now?
I would say it's go time. I would say I'm in the strongest part physically and mentally. I'm working on the business end of building and getting to my strongest part. But I feel like I'm gaining momentum. I have such a strong vision and desire to be on stages and to inspire people and show them no matter what you're going through, you have so much untapped potential that you don't even realize.
Yeah.
Like I had so many people say, "Oh, if I was you, I could never get through that. I could never get through it." Yes, you can. Yes, you can. You never think that, but when you're in that situation and it's do or die, or you're struggling with whatever, I really feel like we can tap into so much more.
There's people all around the world that have proven, and maybe we don't pay attention hard enough, but have proven that we are designed to be far stronger than we believe that we are. And you would be one of them.
Oh, thank you.
You would be absolutely one of them. And your story needs to be told. And I'm so grateful that you're here to tell it.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to interject that when you brought up the Navy SEALs. So when I was kind of in that deep depression, I've always had this intrigue and fascination with special forces.
Me too.
Did you?
I could just dig in and watch what these guys do, man. They're just the coolest.
Oh my gosh. So during that time, I started watching different military documentaries. And my dad would come in my room like, "Why are you watching this? This is so depressing. This is so sad." And I'm like, no, I was like, look at these guys. They're blown up, lost limbs, have had 20 surgeries.
Crawl through the desert to survive.
Oh my gosh. And every single one of them that have been asked, would you go through it? Would you do it again? Would you sign up again? Without hesitation, absolutely. And I'm like, and I'm sitting here feeling sorry for myself. They're inspiration to me. So it's all about perspective too.
Yep.
And how you want to take that in.
That goes back to it, right? It's like money's all relative. Mm-hmm. If a millionaire said, "Oh man, I've lost my rear end on the stock market," their rear end is different than my rear end. Like if I lost a golf bet, I'd be just as devastated. So yeah, I could see exactly what you're saying, and it probably is pretty cool for you to strive to find people that have had it worse, so that you can have some motivation.
Yes.
Right.
Oh, yes.
Gosh, so cool. All right, so book deals coming up. What's in the works? What's in the works? We're going to write a book. Do we have a publisher? Have we started to outline this thing? What's happening? What are we going to call it? What should we expect?
Totally question. No. So I am currently writing a book. I'm in the process of writing a book. I have a couple potential publishers that I've been speaking with. I have an outline, not completed yet, but we're working on that. And a name for it. That's something I have not.
Do you want to drop that, or do you want to hang on to that? Whatever you want to do.
I mean, I haven't even.
Is this going to be an exclusive?
I haven't even come up with.
Oh, you haven't come up with it?
No, I have a couple ideas, but it's just weird how even in the last 9 months, how with the brand, the Uncoiled mind, just my thought process has kind of changed too. So as far as a name,
it could be something like how Heather Krueger's life took off after being on the Get Shit Done experience. That'd be a great title. You should consider that. Yeah. I mean, some of the other stuff that you did in the past was cool too, but this
was decent.
Yeah, that. But this is pretty cool, if I may say so.
You have an awesome studio.
It is pretty cool.
Oh my God.
Thanks, Tim Ward. All right. So Heather, I want to wrap this bad boy up. Two things. Number one, leave us with a bit of knowledge or inspiration or a final thought or something that, you really want our listeners to hang on to.
I would say through what I went through, and you can relate this to something that you've struggled with or continue to struggle with today, because I still continue to struggle with self-sabotage and anxiety and lack of maybe feeling like I'm enough or I'm qualified. We all have a story, and no matter how big or small you think your story is, someone can learn from it. There is some bit of knowledge, or even if you think it's so minute, you never know if that's what someone needs to hear to keep them going. And I think that's why I really enjoy meeting people who have struggled and their life hasn't been, oh, everything's just great. I have some, I'm going to call it out. I have some family members that every time you ask them, how's life going? Oh, it's great. Everything's great. Bullshit.
Jinx.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, no, I don't want to hear that.
That's boring.
Like, because also when I hear about someone's struggle, you learn from it too.
Yeah.
How are they getting over that? How are they overcoming?
Well, how do you grow unless you break a little?
Yes.
They call it getting ripped because when you go to the gym and you work out, your muscle rips and then it grows back bigger and stronger. Right. When you break a bone, I'm pretty sure when you break a bone, it grows back stronger. Right? So you got to break a little bit.
Right.
And in some of the coolest guests, including yourself, that I've had on this show, I admire their scars and their breakage and their stitches.
And that's the other thing, to learn to not be embarrassed of those visible or invisible scars.
It's your truth, baby.
Yes.
Roll with it.
Yes.
It's your truth.
So,
it's your story.
I joke that I have if you put a circle around my stomach, it's a Mercedes-Benz because my scar is like I got filleted open. So I love to walk on the beach with a two-piece and see people's reactions. Just because I find it.
Oh, if you only knew. Yeah.
So don't be afraid to share your scars.
I also walk on the beach in a two-piece, so I get it. All my scars are inside, though. They're mental.
Hey, we all got
them, though. We all got them. Absolutely amazing. Heather, how can somebody play a part in helping you to launch your vision, to launch your new career, and to launch your purpose? While at the same time, let's be honest here, this is a business world, at the same time benefiting their brand because of it. How could they align with you or collaborate with you in that regard?
Sure. Well, I would love to, if there's any type of workshop that I could do for them, conference, speak at, see how we could collaborate and apply it to their business. Also, I'm looking to get more involved within the community. So any type of chamber of commerce, nonprofits, see how...
It's currently working in a nonprofit now.
Yep.
There's a ton of them out there.
Yes. So ways to even advocate for mental health, for physical health.
I would say schools too, right? Schools, universities.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I know you have assemblies and so on, and I would imagine the mental and the health condition of students and communities is extremely important, and I think that this is somebody who's very respectable and professional and could tell a fantastic story that would inspire and motivate children at your school. So that would be something to consider. I think groups, there's a ton of groups, that could be very much inspired, even if the group doesn't completely align with exactly the scenario that you had. We can always make the comparison and be like, okay, well, it's not exactly the same, but there's a lot of parallels and similarities. And her formula to work her way through that mentally and physically has been quite beneficial. But I could see this as a great play for an HR department, let's say, that wants to help to improve people and culture and to show morale and just to inspire people. Look, if you're breaking it down to strictly to like a sales team, for instance, they deal with a lot of rejection. Rejection is difficult to handle. That is not something you handle by telling somebody that they need to get over it and handle it. Like, they need to be prepared with tools, and there's methods of doing it. And I will tell you, for me, like, there are tools that I have used over the last X amount of years that I now apply to rejection in sales and marketing. I create content for a living. You think that every podcast that I create that I think is absolutely amazing that flops doesn't affect me? I just released one where I was the guest and it flopped, so thanks a lot for that. And it did affect me. I'm like, God, nobody gives a damn about my story. So yeah, I had to do some reflection to be able to get on the mic to do the next one and not be a dud, because I was like, why am I even doing this? So yeah,
and that
so
plays into
it plays in
to continue to persevere despite rejection or flopping or getting 50 no's in a row, believing that the next one you're that much closer to a yes.
Yeah, and that you can, and that again, it's easy to say. Right. Heather's had to do it and has a formula of how to do it. So if you are looking for somebody that would be very interesting, that could tell a compelling story, Heather would be a great person to reach out to. I've given you the information as to how to do that. You can reach out to her on LinkedIn. She's on Instagram. She's on Facebook. She's on all of them, for gosh sakes. She doesn't have a TikTok where she's doing the shuffle dance or anything like that. So you don't have to worry about that. It's pretty much professional content that is going out. And Heather, it's been an absolute pleasure. You know that I genuinely appreciate you as a human being. I am personally inspired by who you are. I think that you're a ray of light in a world that seems to be dark, but I think is coming to the light. So keep being that light. And I want to remind you, Heather, you got shit done.
Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. Can your business handle 15% growth? If yes, you have to engage with 2020 Design. They fuse data and creativity to stop the scroll, break through the noise, and grab the attention of your future customers. 2020 Design will create competitive, click-worthy campaigns, design and build custom websites, spark your social media presence, and structure email campaigns that get right to your audience, the decision maker. Let's boost attention and awareness, which allows you to convert more sales. Check them out at 2020design.com. That's the number 20, TWENTY design.com.